Thank you to Bob for supporting the channel. Use his code to get 3 months of FSD free. Welcome to the Frunk. Hey everybody, I know I'm probably not the face you're expecting to see, but Chris wanted me to do a beta drive just alone because I have reached a point where I am pretty comfortable with beta, and he just wanted me to show you how I would drive this side. How I drive with beta and how I use it just in my day-to-day driving. So, are we gonna test beta and push it to its limit and watch it get out of all these crazy situations? Absolutely not. This is not the video for that. This is more the video for all of you who comment on our videos and say, oh, like my girlfriend or my wife won't even let me put beta on when I'm in the car driving with her, or she's very uncomfortable using beta and I wish she would try it, or like my dad doesn't like me to use it when I'm in the car. So like, fellas, grab your ladies, grab your parents, your grandparents, anybody who is like a little bit hesitant about a self-driving car. This video is for them, because I used to be one of them. And now I really cannot imagine not having it, to be honest. So, back when Chris got his first Tesla, he got a Model 3, I think in like 2018, I didn't even want to drive it. Not like, forget autopilot, I just didn't want to drive it. The regen freaked me out a little bit, the screen, everything was just so different. But he kept encouraging me to try it again and again and again. And I did. How do I know if I can do autopilot or not? Like, it's just for the big roads, right? But and eventually, just like probably most of you, I'm dodging that dead squirrel there. Most of you who are watching this, I ended up falling in love with it and realizing that it's so much easier driving an electric car than a gas car. Okay, so like here, like, why are you not stopping? You're like, it felt like it was speeding up. And I don't let beta do stop signs unless my life depends on it, because it's just awkward. And I know it's following the laws and stopping fully because that's what you're supposed to do, but like nobody else does that, so it just makes it extremely awkward. But anyway, I remember even like Chris had me film a video of just like wife takes the Tesla, which was like a big deal for me just to even take the Tesla out by myself to go like run errands. Obviously we've come a long way since then. I was not very fond of autopilot. It did a lot of weird things then. This was before beta was even around, and it would like slow way down when it did curves, or not slow down enough, or have some phantom braking and things. Like, I just was like, please don't put me through this when I'm in the car. And I also get car sick. I get like a headache and kind of dizzy. So you put all that together, it was not a good time for me. And like, why are we going in the left lane? Like, okay, and why is okay? Weird things like that are annoying. But anyway, it wasn't until we took our first road trip with the kids to Tennessee that I started to develop a relationship with autopilot, if you will. On the day we were supposed to drive home from Tennessee to Michigan, so this is like 9-10 hour drive, Chris got really bad food poisoning, and he was just like good for nothing. He was like curled up in a ball, throwing up every 30 minutes. He was just like miserable, absolutely could not drive a car. And I was counting on him to drive the whole way because that's what he always did, because he loved it, and you know, the car basically drove itself. We had our Legacy X at the time, didn't have beta on it. It was just your basic autopilot. But now I was in a situation where I was going to have to drive my puking husband and screaming children all the way home all by myself. And I felt like I didn't really have a choice but to try autopilot. Like, I knew, I'm like, oh, if I can be comfortable with this, it's going to make this drive so much better. I can do this. and it saved me. Like, having it on, this is going to sound so weird, but like I felt like I had like a friend with me. Like I wasn't in it alone. I had like another set of eyes, you know, something keeping me in my lane. And it was just like, I just felt like I was not alone on that journey. All right, we're going to get to our destination pretty quick here. So I'll have to plug in another one. So driving home from Tennessee is when I really started to trust autopilot. It got me all the way home. And I was like, this is actually really convenient and nice. And even when I only had just basic autopilot, I would use it on a straight road and just enjoyed that it kept me in my lane. It kept my speed appropriate, engaged the distance between the car in front of me and myself. And it was very nice. And then I got beta on this car, and I use it every single time that I'm in the car. And it does weird things, as we've already seen, but it doesn't bother me like it used to, because like it's like when you are in a relationship with a person, and it just like takes time. You've got to trust it. You've got to build that trust with beta, basically, and the only way to do that is to give it time. You have to actually use it and get to know all of its quirks and its things, and then you become more comfortable with it. And it has helped me so many times that I'm able to trust it for the most part now. Like, I've never really, I don't go in this area very often, so I'm a little like, I don't know what you're going to do here. You're not as predictable, but I don't let it handle that many traffic lights or turns, and absolutely not stop signs. I usually just stop it and handle those things myself. I also hit the accelerator a lot. It takes a really long time to accelerate. Like when this light turns green, we'll see because we have cars in front of us. But if I'm the first one at the front of the light and it turns green, it like takes forever to get going. And I'm like, come on. So, you know, I add stuff to it. But just the simple fact that it keeps me in my lane, gauges my distance. And when I'm in an unfamiliar area, it knows where it's going. And it's funny because I just went, I went on a little road trip with some of my friends last weekend, and they're like, oh, like, who wants to drive? What do we want to do? And I was like, I'll drive, because, you know, I'm not really going to be driving. The car will do the driving, but it was fun to just, like, give them the Tesla experience and drive them around and let autopilot just, you know, take us all the way there, basically. And a few times they were like, wow, can the car like get us through all this traffic all by itself? And I'm like, yes, it can. And there were two instances where one was a semi and one was a pickup truck. They drifted very far into our lane, like right when they were right beside us. And I didn't even notice that was happening because they were kind of in my blind spot when it was going on. But the girls in the back seat were like, like there's a truck like pushing like right into our lane. It was like pretty severe, and the car handled it beautifully. It moved us over because it safely could, and it did like alert. I think a message came up on the screen, and I ended up taking over at that point. But it was just like I would not have even seen that, would not have even thought to move. I don't know what the car was thinking, if that truck would have even hit us or not. Probably not, but it was just cool that it saw things that I didn't. And that has happened to me enough times where I'm like, you know what? You have more eyes than I do. You don't ever get distracted like a person does. Like, it's nice, like, when you pair that with a person in the driver's seat. It's pretty nice. So, I enjoy it. And, yes, it's not perfect, but nobody said it was going to be. It is still in beta. We're still testing it. It does weird things all the time that we're still trying to figure out. But for the most part, it can reliably get me from point A to point B. And when I was on that trip, I was like, I don't know where this restaurant was. Like, we're driving in this big city, and I was like, I've never been here. I don't know where I'm going or what I'm doing. I'm just going to let beta do it because beta does know. And it was just like such a relief. It's just like having a buddy with you, like driving with you all the time. So that's kind of been my journey with autopilot. And like now, like, let's go through the light, hit the accelerator a little bit, because I knew the light was about to turn red, and I didn't want to deal with going through a yellow light. Here we are at the stop sign again. Nuh-uh, this is not a place for you, beta. So, to anybody who is just starting to get comfortable with the idea of beta, I highly encourage you, like, so what I did is I would start with just a straight road, like this type of road, where it's just 2 lanes, it's really easy, it's really predictable. Like, what are you doing? No. See, times like that, you just take over. I'm not gonna push it like Chris does, because I'm not a beta tester, it's not what I do. But anyway, pick a 2-lane road that you drive down all the time, that you're very comfortable with, and just get used to it keeping you in your lane. Get used to trusting that it's not going to hit the car in front of you or randomly just like swerve into oncoming traffic. Like, once you develop that level of trust with it, where you know that those things are not going to happen, it opens up a new window for you. Like, rarely do I ever let it do a left turn, sometimes a right turn. If you're trying to get comfortable with it though, like, oh, there's just a deer running across the road in downtown Fenton. That's kind of crazy. Deer are crazy right now though, so wait until you're at an intersection. Oh my gosh, this deer is going, it's a buck, yep. So if you're just getting used to beta, wait until you're at an intersection and there's no other cars there but you. And let it take the right turn, let it take the left turn, let it, God forbid, gosh, let it do the stop sign, even though it is very awkward. And just feel it out and get used to what it does, get used to its quirks when you're in a setting that you're really familiar with and you're really safe. Like, you feel really comfortable about taking over. That's what I did, and that's what helped me get really used to it. And I mean, I used to freak out, like, if it did lane drift, which it does, you know, and gets you in the wrong lane at the wrong time, I would just like grab the wheel and be like, like, don't go in there, but then it leaves the blinker on and all these other awkward things, and oh my gosh, cruise control is still on, but I didn't realize it, so I'm still, you know, it's still keeping my speed for me. All those things got resolved just over time with me just not giving up on it, because the convenience of it is so worth it. So if I do find myself in a situation where beta is like going into a passing lane when it shouldn't be, you know, doing something dumb, I'm comfortable now. I know how to disengage it easily so that the blinker goes off and the cruise control goes off, and then I can just like put it back on once we get out of that situation. I'm much more comfortable with it. It's a lot easier for me, whereas before it was a little bit of like, what do I do? So, moral of the story is, my journey has been from where autopilot being on made my stress go up. Like, anytime Chris turned it on, I was more stressed out, to now a point where every time I get a chance to turn it on, it's like this big relief. Like, I can relax a little bit. The car is keeping me in my lane. Like, that alone is huge. And I get kind of annoyed if I'm ever in a situation where I can't put autopilot on, or in a situation where I can't put beta on. There are a couple roads where I just refuse to do that because it just changes lanes like crazy for no reason. So it's frustrating, and I'm like, I can't wait till I get to this next road so that I can put beta on and then I can relax again. And it makes me so much more observant. I can see so much more because I'm not just looking straight dead ahead on the road and focusing on keeping the wheel straight. I see so much more than I did before. Like, see, there's nobody here, so I'm just gonna let it do it. See what it does. See, it's going. So that's what you guys gotta do, my fella beta newbies. just when you're in a situation, as awkward as it is, if there's no cars around, then what do you have to lose? Just let it do its thing, and if it screws up, then take over. But yes, I've gotten much lazier as a driver because when I actually have to drive the car, it feels like so much more work. It's kind of crazy. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I'm at a point where I would be really sad if I didn't have beta. I can't believe I'm saying that. I cannot see myself ever driving a car that is not electric, unless I absolutely had to. But I've fully enjoyed my experience in this Model Y and in the Model X that we had as well. And one other thing too is just like our daughters are 4 and 2. Just the thought that by the time that they're 16, they might not have to drive a car, or they won't be driving alone. They'll have some sort of system in place like this. That is another huge relief. All right, so you'll see Chris in the next one.